Hi everyone, welcome to Life Updates with Cass. I'm the program coordinator here at LearningFuze, and today we have our special guest, Evelyn.
Hi
Evelyn,
guys,
please
how are you doing?
introduce yourself. Yay!
Okay, yeah. So my name is Evelyn, and I was part of the 720 cohort at LearningFuze. So a little bit about me. Before I did the LearningFuze full immersion program, I was a English teacher abroad in Taiwan. I was living there for 2 years, and before that, I did visual merchandising and customer service in both the retail and corporate setting. So I have a very diverse background, which all led me to coding, yeah, and web development.
So how did it lead you to coding and web development?
Honestly, it showed me what I didn't want to do. Like, I didn't really want to interact with customers on a daily basis, just like the general public. Because in retail, you have to, put on that retail face and say like, oh, whatever the customer's always right. Whatever they want, you have to help them with. And I realized I didn't really want to do that. It was more physical labor, and I wanted something a little bit more mentally challenging.
And then did you try out coding, I guess, like with any of the free tutorials or learning online before LearningFuze?
It's very interesting. I think back in 2017, I did like a little bit of Code Academy, like very, very little, like just maybe the first few lessons of HTML,
Mhm.
but that was my only exposure. And I think back in like Zanga days, I don't know, this dates me really. Like we used to have like themes and stuff and like, layouts. I would mess around with the colors only, but that was about it, and like add music. Um, but my first real like touching coding was earlier this year, like February, March. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. And then what brought you to like how did you find about LearningFuze, I guess, and why did you choose
Yeah.
LearningFuze
Uh,
ultimately?
so I created a Google spreadsheet of like over 10 or 15 boot camps around the SoCal area, and then just like comparing, contrasting, like especially their reviews on like Code Switch. I think it's Code Switch,
I
or
think
what's that
Switch Up,
website?
Switch Up,
Yeah, yeah,
Course
Switch Up.
Report.
Sorry, Switch Up.
Those are like the two main ones for
Yeah, yeah.
coding
I
bootcamp.
was on those I was on those boards like looking at reviews, and then LearnViews had really good reviews. And also personally, my brother's company that he works at hired a few LearningFuze alumni. So I knew for a fact that, people from LearningFuze were getting hired. So
Hmm.
that's why I really wanted to do this. And I took the prep classes, and everyone seemed really friendly, like especially like Cody who's there. They seemed really knowledgeable.
Nice. And then what was it like to take the coding bootcamp online or remotely?
Uh, Honestly, I wanted to do it in person because I learn better in person. But of course, with coronavirus and COVID and everything, it was impossible. And I think you guys did the best you could given the circumstances. Yeah, it was a little bit tough. You definitely had to keep yourself more on track because there's more like opportunities to slack off when you're not really there. But yeah, it was tough, but it was worth it.
Nice. And then now that you spent the past, year more or less with coding and learning and diving deep into it, what is your favorite part about coding now that you have more experience with it?
My favorite part would be just the creation of the actual product, like seeing your work on the web and like live and deployed. And then um, yeah, because right now at work I'm still learning. I haven't really had a time to, or I haven't had the chance to really touch their like database and like go through the code. But it's really cool seeing like customers actually use the product.
Hmm. Oh yeah, and then speaking of where you currently are now, what are you currently doing?
Yeah, so I'm a web developer at this really small startup called Berserk Software. It's located near Belinda, and we use mostly Angular, and we work with overseas clients, do
Nice.
like cryptocurrency and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Did you have interest in cryptocurrency before, or what drew you to Berserk?
I looked at their other projects actually. So our boss, he's a designer. He does like UX UI for everything. And I was like, oh, it's really cool. The crypto stuff, it's pretty interesting. I do have an interest, but I don't have that much knowledge about it. So it's definitely something I'm going to learn over the course of the next few months.
Nice. That's good to hear. And then what was it like towards the end of the program, completing your portfolio, and then also going into the job search?
It was actually very stressful. Yeah, just the fact like, oh, you're going to graduate soon and then it's going to be over. And I don't know, it was a bittersweet feeling. I was like, oh, I learned so much and grew so much in this short period of time. But yeah, it's going to be over soon. You're going to have to go into your job search and, you're basically let free. Yeah, but it was stressful, but you just have to keep your chin up, keep pushing on. Just listen to what Cass and TJ say to do. Like literally just network. You have to be on LinkedIn networking. Message people. Don't care about like how you like may come off. Just do it. Like, just do it.
Definitely. And then what would you say is your what would you say is the project that you're most proud of on your portfolio, or even the one that you've built?
That is a good question. So talking to my boss, the one he's most impressed with is probably my personal hackathon, just because it's a really big thing to be able to use the back button, I guess, on the browser. Yeah. So that one, and everything works. And I was able to, so my personal hackathon, I used 2 public APIs to get like drink recipes and like brewery locations. So for the drink recipes, I actually got the amounts of each ingredient. He was saying like some other person's project, they weren't able to get the ingredient amounts. So that was impressive, I guess. But yeah, I also like my final project, Work Friends, but there's a lot of things that need to be tweaked on it because it was a group project. I do want to go back to that, but it's a big feat right now, so slowly.
Nice. And then what's one feature that you would want to improve on or add to Board Friends?
Oh, so there's a lot actually.
No, just one of them.
Just one. Okay. One definitely would be okay. I'll do 2. There's 2 main important ones.
Okay.
Consistent styling. Just because we had so many different people working on it, like there's small minor like spacing issues that really bug me. Like personally, I notice those things too. So I'm like, I want to tweak it, but it's hard going back into other people's code and finding exactly what to fix. I would have to mess around with it a lot. And number 2, like I would incorporate React Router. Yeah, just for the back button, which is very important. I do agree that is important.
Nice. That's good to hear that you want to, improve on your final project, right? And you were the lead for that one, right?
I was.
So it does make sense that you would want to, improve on, your initial idea. And I know you had a lot of features.
Oh yeah, for sure. My Figma was completely like, we had to cut down so much from the Figma. I do ideally want to go back and redo like what it's supposed to look like. I actually already started like just the login page, just the components, the UI, but yeah, it'll be a while.
For sure, but slow and steady progress
exactly.
is good. Yeah, that's awesome. And what were your thoughts running through your head and feelings if you could think back to your first day at your new job?
Yeah, so I sorry, I totally lost my train of thought.
No, you're totally good. I'll edit this part out.
Yeah. Yeah, so my first thoughts about my job, let's see. It wasn't what I expected to start off with, just because it's such a small company and they're a little bit more casual, I would say. There's not like a lot of like corporate structure, and that's kind of what I was expecting for my first position. But honestly, I think it's a really good opportunity to grow and learn like as many things as possible. Being a small startup, you have to wear a lot of hats, and you really get your hands in everything. So I think it's a very good experience. It'll be a very good experience.
Nice. That's good to hear. And if you could also look back even further to your first day at LearningFuze, what would you tell your past self with everything that you know now? What's one thing that you would tell yourself?
I would tell myself not to stress out so much because I'm prone to like stress and anxiety. I don't know. I just make myself like worked up, and I'm like,
Mhm.
just trust the process. Like, don't like you don't know everything. You're not going to know everything. It's going to take time. Don't put that much pressure on yourself if you don't get it like right away, or if you don't understand something. If something's overwhelming, you just have to take a step back, take a deep breath, and just like keep looking at it. It'll eventually like make sense.
True. And then what, another question is,
Mhm.
what is it like to be a woman in tech?
Ooh, honest. I feel like to be completely honest, it's interesting because on one hand, nowadays I feel like everyone's all about like being inclusive and diverse. So I think being a woman in tech nowadays, you have a slight advantage just because there's so few of you, you know,
Mhm.
and it helps you stand out. Because I was talking to like my coworkers and they're like, yeah, because it was like TJ sent over like a bunch of like portfolios and everyone was a dude, and then you're the only girl, so it helps you
Mhm.
stand out. And I do like it, and I don't know. That's an interesting question. I haven't really encountered any like discrimination yet, so
Mhm.
my answer may change, but yeah, I think it's okay. I think as long as your abilities are there and you're able to
Yeah.
like prove yourself and show that your logic is sound, I don't think it's a big issue. Like I wouldn't let it stop you from getting into tech.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. Because I definitely think, right, it's good to be aware, but also, it's good when you don't notice it because everyone's being treated the same, more or less,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
I think my personality is more like extroverted. Well, actually, I'm an introvert. I'm an extroverted introvert. But
Yeah.
I think I'm very like, I'm able to communicate. So I don't really like if someone were to do something to me that I don't like, I think I would be vocal about it, or you
Mhm.
would be able to tell. I'm not very, very expressive.
No, you're totally good. I mean, especially with interviews, you right, they're not only assessing your technical performance, but also your behavioral
Yeah.
performance, right? So you did your behavioral is, is good enough, right?
Thank you.
Is relatively good in terms of work being recognized that you can work with other people, right? That's a pretty important aspect, especially when working on a team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Nice. Awesome. Did you have any last thoughts that you wanted to part with?
Yeah, actually, so one piece of advice to like any current or future like LearningFuze students, really like take the time to perfect your portfolio because your portfolio is what will get you noticed. So in terms of like UX UI, I know not everyone's like super like good at design or has eye for design, but just to make it like make everything consistent, like spacing consistent, like sizing consistent, like fonts and colors and all that stuff. At least make everything like spaced out correctly. I think
Mhm.
that's really what, and try to make yourself stand out because you're going to be competing with like a lot of other people. You have to find some way to stand out, and your portfolio really is key.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you so much again for being our guest and taking the time to speak with us. Thanks for tuning in to Life Update
Live updates
with
with Kat.
Cass.